Turn right onto Trickle Bay Road.
Heading to the SS Keewatin.
Turn right onto Talbot Street.
Nice signs.
Double his life raft, actually. We're gonna have 4 or 5 people in there. Wow. And then, but they have barrels underneath that would have floated probably. So it's minimal, but we're getting there. We've only been here a couple of years, so we've got some signage up, but.
Oh, love your signs, by the way.
Everything costs.
Everything.
Well, oh, yes, yes. There you go. Thank you. Jessica's going to see. That's right up the street for a minute until the 11:30 group.
We know what some of it is. Well, the first aid kit and stuff. One guy, and we got another guy pumping bellows, flying air to him, and he's going to the smoke so the boat can fight fire. There was 4 boilers in here. You got 2 of them here that you can see that have been cut in half, and there was 2 more here in this big open area, and they face the coal bunker we just walked through. These 2 face another coal bunker.
Were these both cut open just to show us?
Partly.
Okay.
I'll go into this in a little more detail with you. These people have already heard the story, but I start now. Going to bow down. So with these cut up like this, we can show you how a boiler works through the inside of these tubes. Everything in this boiler was surrounded by water. The fireboxes and the tubes were surrounded by water, and that, up to that level up there. The water skimmer was to take any water droplets out of the steam. They had to have 100% pure steam. They called it dry steam. So there could be no water. It had to be all steam. So that skimmer would take that water out if there was any in it. And that dry steam would accumulate at the top of the boiler, get into that pipe, and was distributed all over the ship, depending on what they were going to use it for. They used it for cooking, they used it for heating water, they used it for heating the ship, they used it to run machinery, they used it to generate electricity. Most of it went to propel the ship. There was 2 different, they called them 2 different things. There was, at any given time, there was 2 of them down here. One looked after these 2 boilers, the other one looked after the other 2 boilers. So there was one guy working here alone. He would take this tool that's laying against the wall. It's got a long handle on it, and it looks like a flattened out shovel that's been bent at the bottom. He'd put it into the firebox. He would move all the hot coals off to the side, kind of create a trench in those hot coals. Then he'd grab the shovel, and he'd start shoveling coal out of this coal bunker into there. It would take about 12 heaping shovelfuls to fill that trench that he created in there. Then he would take the first tool again and rake the hot coals over top of the, or pardon me, rake the hot coals over top of the fresh ones that he had just put in there. And he'd have to do that for all 6 of these fireboxes. And while he was doing that, he had to keep an eye on these gauges. There was one for each boiler. And he had to keep an eye on them to maintain that pressure of 220 pounds. He couldn't go very far over it, and he couldn't go very far under it. If he went under, the engine would stop. If he went over, this thing might get shake. These fires would have required a tremendous amount of oxygen to burn the way they needed them to burn. So there is 2 vents, one here, one there. Those pipes go right up through the ship, right to the top. They're bent and they funnel out. And they could turn them at the top to catch the prevailing wind. So it would funnel the air down, and then these fires would just be sucking it in to burn. So it did create some fresh air and a breeze for this poor guy down here. Gets it running for us, and just to make sure it's going to operate, he turns it on. But it just occurred to me, I got the first tour out, and I don't remember seeing him this morning. So he hadn't turned it on, so that's what I did. So we're in the engine room right now. These two small units on the side, they're the dynamos that produced all the electricity for the ship. I call them dynamos, not generators, because they produce DC current, not AC current that we use today. But they used that right up till 1965. So you didn't plug your hairdryer in on this ship, or your electric razor. I made that mistake one day on a ship that had DC current. I plugged my electric razor in. Bought a new electric razor. Pistons and the cylinders are up in the red part, right on the top. In between the legs, the big rod coming down, that's the connecting rod that connects the piston to the crankshaft. The two small ones on each side control the valves. So what they would do, they put steam into cylinder number 1, which is the one on the far left. That steam would push the cylinder down. Very similar to how your car operates, only that's a little explosion where steam works on pressure. The difference is that in a car, when the piston goes up, it's being driven up by the next cylinder that's coming down, or the next piston that's coming down. On this engine, they actually put steam underneath it and pushed it back up. So there's steam pushing it down, there's steam pushing it up. Otherwise it would start to vibrate and shake itself to death. Even your car fires in that sequence. Because they kept adding steam, the cylinders had to get progressively larger. So cylinder number 1 is 23.5 inches in diameter, about that big. Number 2 is 34 inches, number 3 is 48.5, and number 4 is 70 inches in diameter. To put that in perspective, I'm 70 inches tall. So if I laid on my back on the top of the piston, my feet would be touching one side and my head would be touching the other. That's how big around it is. Reasonable length of time. So our engineering staff rigged up a 35 horsepower motor with some gears and belts, and we got the drive shaft turning, which in turn turns all this for us. If you watch the connecting rods between the legs, you'll see more motion than you will on the valve stem. You can see number 2 here is coming up. We're turning this over at about a half an RPM. That's the best we can do. When the ship was operating, it operated at 120 RPM. That's 2 revolutions per second. So it'll be going considerably faster than what you see here.
Yeah.
This engine produced 3,300 horsepower. Our cruising speed was 14 knots, our top speed was 16. That's equivalent to about 22 and 25 miles an hour, or about 30 and 35 kilometers. So she moved along at a fairly good clip. The thing that amazes me about this engine, besides its size, and that they actually built this thing in 1907, is that we can operate it today. You know, I mean, this thing's 108 years old and we're turning it over. If we could put steam up on the boilers, we could operate this thing like it did right up until 1965. This is all thanks to our volunteers. Mechanically inclined. Two of our, it's an amazing piece of machinery.